One problem that comes up a lot when working with JSON data is whether or not it matches the way you expect it to come back. Now, in JavaScript, that was an issue for them there as well with types. So people came to invent TypeScript so they could try and deal with that fact. But it wasn't until recently till a colleague at work pointed out that there is something called JSON Schema about whereby you can actually write out how you expect in JSON the data to come back. So you can see on the left here on the JSON schema thing, these are fields that you have, the type that you're expecting, titles, whether something is required or not. In fact, many of these aspects, anyone that's worked with databases, say, for example, Mongoose with MongoDB, this will seem quite familiar to you, how you can set that data. But this allows you on the receiving end to be able to work with that. So I've gone and used JSON placeholder to try and highlight how some of this works. Now, if you change the endpoint here to any number, then you'll get back another record. So I have chosen this one, to-dos. They've got a few, but I've got this. This formed my data. Now, what's great is you don't even really need to know too much about how to set that structure up here that I showed you. You can go to sites like this, and as I've just done here, paste that information in, and then it will give you the schema. Now, of course, you can go in if some of those fields are not required. In fact, then that would be something you could work with. But all I've done is I've now gone and found out that Postman, that so many people who use APIs use, actually has this feature built in to validate against this. So if now I give you an example, I've done a little script here, just show you there for a random value to come through. In the pre-request script, so nothing special there, just 1 to 20, just so that I can continually press and find new things. But what we've got, so you saw here, if I send that, I can get some new data through. User ID, title completed. Now, what we've got, as I ran through this, I got my JSON schema, and I've got a test. So if I pull this down a little bit, we will now see the schema verbatim taken through. I've just referenced that there for const, and then I've got a small test. And I wasn't too aware of this until this point, but this is a fantastic feature. So writing tests, very much the same format that you might expect to see in any testing language, like JSON, like React testing library, etc., Jest. So when I look here, it's looking to see, does the response have the JSON schema? Does it follow it? And so now what you might not have noticed is I have a section here, test results. So I can keep running this and it will check that I've got the right stuff. Now, obviously, I'm going through JSON placeholder, which will return all of the information with all of the fields required. But if we just see, if I change this one to string, for example, so my schema now is saying what happens quite regularly, that the user ID is not a number, but in fact a string. And now if I run this, I now get this pop-up to say that the JSON data doesn't follow. So I'm sure there's far more ways that you can incorporate this into your back end of your projects to be able to make this useful. But when I found out about this from my colleague at work, I thought this is potentially a massive deal and could really help your customers to have a more precise knowledge of what it is that you're supposed to be getting and help you in the production phase, just like TypeScript does. And for users in general, being able to test and work and see that you do in fact get back what is expected. Okay, so as I said, go to JSON Schema to find out more about how that works. And note, you can have a look at my information here to see how to run a test on that. Okay, hope that's useful. Bye.